Matchday 34 in La Liga. EA Sports brought us the game between Espanyol and Real Betis at the RCDE Stadium. Espanyol were coming into this one undefeated in their last 10 La Liga home games. Real Betis travelled to Barcelona with just one defeat in their last 10 in the Spanish top flight, but with one eye on their Conference League tie. Semi-final return leg against Fiorentina just a few days after this one. Changes were made by the visitors. Espanyol naming their strongest starting 11 following a 1-0 defeat away to Villarreal last time out. And Espanyol had the first chance through Edu Exposito. Espanyol's number 8 not able to hit the target with his first chance. He would then set up Urco González de Zárate for the next shot. This one on target, but straight at the Betis goalkeeper, Adrián San Miguel. It's fair to say that the home side were the better team, especially in the first 45 minutes. Things would change in the second half, but Betis did try to score the opener themselves very early doors. Giovanni Lo Celso, who was starting in the number 10 role ahead of Isco, who was starting the game on the bench. Lo Celso denied here by a good hand from Joan Garcia. Cabrera making a mistake there at the back in possession, and Lo Celso letting fly to try and beat Joan Garcia at his front post. A poor goalkeeping clearance from Adrián San Miguel almost left him blue in the face as the ball went straight to Javi Puado, who had no hesitation when trying to go for goal. Fortunately for Espanyol's captain, he can only put the shot wide of the target. Roberto Fernández was once again leading the line for Espanyol, in fine form since joining Los Pericos in January. He would lay it off for Edu Exposito, but his shot went straight at Adrián. Betis with not really too many chances in the first period of play. Espanyol, as we say, were much more comfortable on the ball. Espanyol would ultimately take the lead. A good through ball from Paul Lozano would find Roberto Fernández, who scored his 6th La Liga goal of the season. Just about 27 minutes into the game. A very well taken finish, it has to be said. The through ball, a good weight of the pass. First touch to bring the ball under control, just onside as well. Playing in between both centre-halves of Real Betis, Bartra and Nathan. And then following that first touch, does really well to bury it out of the reach of Adrián. Espanyol leading by 1-0 at the RCDE Stadium. And we see the VAR imaging the semi-automatic offside call. Roberto Fernández was indeed just onside. Omar El Hilali was then shown a yellow card for this challenge on Jesus Rodríguez. It's a yellow card that means he will miss Espanyol's next game through suspension, a game away at Butarque to face Leganés next Sunday. Cucho Hernández was leading the line at the other end for Real Betis. Didn't see too much of the ball throughout the first period here. He tried to ask a question out of Joan Garcia, but this shot was quite a tame effort as well from quite an awkward angle. Jesus Rodríguez would then find Cucho again, and this time the Colombian had a much better shot from much better angle to try and cause Joan Garcia some problems, but still, Espanyol's number 1 was on his toes. At half-time, Alex Kral was brought on for Paul Lozano, who already had his thigh strapped up in bandage ahead of kickoff, but it had an ice pack when he was sent to the bench, so he clearly wasn't fit enough to continue in the second half. Espanyol, though, started the second period on the front foot. Javi Puado with a chance on goal. Roberto Fernandez playing out wide on the left and laying it off to Edu Exposito. But it took just a few minutes after that, really, for Real Betis to start really growing into the game. Manuel Pellegrini did not make any changes at half-time, despite his side going 1-0 down in the first period. Jesus Rodriguez here cutting in from the left-hand side, would link up with Giovanni Lo Celso, and the shots would eventually come from Sergi Altimira. The effort taking a slight deflection out for a corner. From that corner, William Carvalho put his shot wide of the target. There was a slight shout for a penalty, but nothing too serious really from Real Betis. Antony was only one of 3 players who stayed in the starting 11 from Betis' first leg tie against Fiorentina in the Conference League the Thursday before this game. He would actually go on to play the full 90 minutes. He had the next chance of the game. This lovely shot that seemingly was going into the bottom corner and forced Joan Garcia into a save down low. Altimira would try his luck again, this time from further out, and this time he would hit the target, but it was again denied by Joan Garcia, who was kept busy, as we say, especially in the second half. The old cliche, a game of 2 halves, the second period very much so in favour of the Andalusian side. For the final half an hour, Pellegrini brought on Abde and Isco to replace William Carvalho and Jesus Rodriguez. Abde coming on, trying to make an instant impact here already, beating his man and just keeping the ball in play. And his effort kept out at the front post. Isco then linked up with Antony on the edge of the penalty area, and the Brazilian would take this shot, again forcing it on target. Antony would be named MVP of the match at the conclusion of proceedings. We'll get to see why very shortly, but unfortunately for Espanyol, Omar El Hilali had to be replaced. He was already suspended for Espanyol's next game, but he could not continue through injury. Álvaro Tejero came on for him, and then Jofre Carreras also entered the fray for Antonio Roca. At this point, Espanyol were playing very much in a low block and were trying to break on the counter charge. Here, Boado would link up with Exposito, and Roberto Fernandez was just denied the chance to poke the ball into the back of the net by a brilliant tackle from Yusuf Savali. Really solid there from the Betis fullback. Again, it would be Antony from the edge of the penalty area, this time hitting it first time. Isco very cleverly selling the Espanyol defence the dummy, so the Brazilian could hit it, but it was straight down the middle into the grasp of Joan Garcia. Betis inching closer to getting back on level terms. It was, ironically, Betis right back Sabali on his weaker left foot with the next chance. He'd beaten Joan Garcia, but he couldn't beat the woodwork, hitting the back post. Calero was then brought on for Espanyol, replacing Edu Exposito, more of a defensive change to try and hold on to the 1-0 lead. Boado at the other end wasn't too far off, doubling his side's lead, but Adrián San Miguel was equal to it, making a save there towards the back post. Roberto Fernandez got to the rebound, but he was in an illegal position. Bellerin and Bakambu were then brought on to replace Sabali and Cucho for Real Betis. There's an extra push to try and win the game. Before that, though, Jofre Carreras would try his luck for a very long way out. His effort, though, only going wide for a corner. Betis would eventually get back on level terms thanks to this superb solo goal from Giovanni Lo Celso. A brilliant individual run from the Argentine with 6 minutes left to play. His 8th La Liga goal of the season. And what a goal it was. The away end almost full for Real Betis, and they really enjoyed that one. Isco will get the assist as well, poking the ball forward for Giovanni Lo Celso. Questions about whether they can play together. Well, the two combined here, although Lo Celso did all the heavy lifting with a brilliant run through the middle and scoring with the outside of his boot to make it 1-1. Espanyol were preparing to bring on Alejo Vélez to help them take the lead once again, but it was Alex Kral who had the next chance before that change could be made. The Czech Republic international trying to go for the back heel here, but Bartra did well enough to block it and cleared it away for a corner before Roberto Fernandez could pounce. Isco's cross was then dealt with, and it dropped for Anthony, who did this to win the game for Real Betis. What an exquisite goal that is from the Brazilian, right on the 90th minute, and a fabulous goal from the Brazilian. This is why he was named MVP of the match at the end of the game. You can see how much it means to the Real Betis players coming from behind to win the game. They are 1 point now behind Villarreal in their push to potentially qualify for the Champions League for next season. Now they can turn their focus to their Conference League tie in midweek. But Anthony providing yet another moment of individual brilliance and showing again why the Betis fans want him to stay beyond this summer. The final score at the RCD Stadium was Espanyol 1, Real Betis 2.